Hey everyone, it is late at night and I am Norman. In the 1970s, the future was all the rage. Our fascination with what the future would bring had begun to look less fanciful and more attainable. We had left behind glass-domed cities, floating cars, and flying saucers, and we were about to find ourselves in the middle of the computer era. A world of digital imagery and synthesized music. Mainstream music. This is the environment that gave birth to a brilliant watch design, Tissot's PRX. This was a watch with a flat case shape with the circle cut out of the middle of it that housed the dial. You can see the inspiration of this original design in the modern PRX models, even though they look strikingly different. Tonight we're going to explore the current lineup of PRX watches, so let us begin. The PRX line of watches has recently been injected with new life. They've been met with overwhelmingly positive responses. And even just experiencing the watches through images, it's pretty obvious why. The PRX design is just absolutely brilliant. The first batch of rebooted PRX watches featured a 40mm case. However, Tissot has just released a 35mm version. I'm guessing these are intended to be ladies' watches, but as a vintage watch lover, that is a brilliant size. I'm a little bit nervous because if Tissot decides to put out a 35mm PRX with no date and a black dial, I am absolutely gonna have to buy one. According to Fratello Watches, the name PRX comes from precise and robust, and the X is referring to the Roman numeral for 10. Calling out the 10-bar water resistance that these watches feature. I personally own a vintage Citizen CQ watch that actually has a case that's very similar to a PRX. Although it's a bit more round where it curves down toward the bracelet, the PRX has a much sharper line there. It has a textured pearl-colored dial on it, batten markers, no date, and tapered stick hands. And the bracelet is quite a bit different as well. However, I've got to say the PRX's bracelet is way more futuristic looking. PRX watches are available both as mechanical watches and quartz watches. There are even chronograph variants and ones that have fluted bezels on them. If you are not a bracelet fan, you can even get a PRX on a rubber or leather strap. So let's look at the lineup of PRX watches. The PRX Powermatic 80. The Powermatic 80 variants of the PRX feature Tissot's Powermatic 80 movement. These watches have an 80-hour power reserve, which is absolutely brilliant. You can be a contrarian and wear a sporty watch to work all week, put it on the shelf so you can wear dress watches all weekend, and it'll still be running when Monday comes around. These watches retail for around $675. They feature a grid textured dial, batten markers, wide stick hands, a brushed case, and a framed date window at the 3 o'clock. Sadly, the dark dialed variants still have a black on white date wheel in them, so the date wheel is actually pretty jarring with these colorways. And speaking of colorways, there's a number of them that you can choose from. There's two-tone ones, the case is silver, the bezel, date window frame, and hands are in a rose gold color. The fluted bezel variant two-tone, the case is silver and the fluted bezel is in rose gold, as well as the hands and the date window frame. The dial on these pieces is dark brown. There are also blue and silver dial variants. The bezels on these watches are 18 karat gold, so they retail for considerably more money, like nearly $2,000. You can also purchase the Powermatic 80 PRXs with an integrated leather strap or rubber one. These are available with blue or black dials. You can purchase all silver PRXs with either a black or a light blue dial. And as I mentioned, there's even a chronograph variant, and it's done in a panda style with dark blue subdials on it. These watches have 42mm cases. The Tissot PRX Quartz. There are also quartz variants of the PRX with 40mm cases. These watches retail for about $350. The dark dial variants of these watches also suffer from the black on white date wheel. And the quartz version is also available in a number of colorways. You can get silver, black, green, light blue, and white dials. The dials in this collection have sunburst textures on them, not the grid that the mechanical variants have. You can get the quartz variant in a gold case, gold dial, and gold hands, and these can also be purchased with a leather or rubber strap. These variants are available with a black or blue dial. The PRX 35mm variants. The 35mm Powermatic lineup of PRXs are also available in a number of colorways. These watches are identical to the 40mm variants, but they have smaller cases, and their colorways are a little bit different. You could get a blue dial or a silver dial with gold hands. You could get a green dial and a light blue dial. These are also available in the all gold variant, just like the 40mm. And each of these watches has a quartz movement in them. The PRX is a classic retro-styled watch. I feel like these watches are kind of the synth wave of the watch world. I find the design to be absolutely brilliant. The only real negative I have about these watches is I wish that Tissot would match the date wheel with the color of the dial. In fact, it would be nice if Tissot gave customers an option of date or no date. But given Tissot's stubbornness about putting dates on every single watch they make, I'm pretty sure that's never going to happen. I mean, they even put dates on their dressy watches, like their Lilac line. It's on everything. The only watch that I've seen in their catalog so far that doesn't have a date are the T-Touch Connect Solar watches. I mean, without a date wheel, that beautiful design wouldn't be interrupted. But I'll definitely be keeping my eye on this line of watches because I'm pretty stoked about those 35mm variants. We'll see what kind of colorways and what they do with that particular branch of this line. Thanks for watching.